welcome Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday edition. It looked like just me and you, Attorney Vanessa Moss.
Just
Jim,
me and you.
Jim is off today, and Alan Langle, he'll be coming in at top of the hour, 9 o'clock. He's entertaining relatives. I know how that goes. Uh, Vanessa, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Detroit and black and white viewers. Good evening. Good evening. Hey, Dorian Denard, good evening. If you are watching Detroit in black and white, you guys already know what we want you to do. We want you to hit that like button. You could dislike it. We just want to be in your algorithm. Hit that button, subscribe, and guess what else? We want you to tell all your friends that this is the best show on these YouTube streets, Detroit in black and white. Also, if you're joining us on Facebook, good evening, Facebookers. If you want to join into the conversation, you're more than welcome to join in the comments. We will make sure that we address you. I'm going to say hello to Karen Winston and Joe Cool. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Jill Sheridan, she said, like y'all evening. She telling everybody to like. And Dorian said Dorian says they have already subscribed. Thank you so much. Tell your people about it. Tell your peeps.
Okay, now let's get down to it. Donald Trump trying to divert all attention for the Epstein case. Say that Washington, D.C. is riddled with crime. It all happened because a 19-year-old staffer working for one of the agencies in D.C. got beat up, got his ass kicked, probably called somebody a name, but that's no excuse for jumping on them like cowards. But where was Donald Trump at when all these black kids in D.C. been getting shot, been beat up, people stuff being robbed? So it take a little 19-year-old white boy to sound the alarm. Now get past that.
Right.
They have control of D.C. Congress, so he can do certain things.
Right.
And he wants to keep them there forever, but it's not, he ain't gonna be able to. This is a show, but some of the folks that in D.C., the police union, they 800 cops short, and say we welcome. D.C. already has Capitol Police, Federal Police, FBI, DEA, ATF. So at all parts, he's just mobilizing. A lot of seniors and homeowners who are African American are not publicly coming out and said they support it, but privately they support it. Now the big question is, can it happen here in Detroit, who crime rate is double DC, and we unseen how many kids got shot, how many funerals have we witnessed, how stabbings at pool parties, killings at backyard get together, kids dying on the playground. When do it end? Can that happen? Can the National Guard come in to the city? Because the president can federalize the National Guard here in Michigan, turn them into federal troops. And it's been done 50, 60 years ago in Little Rock, Arkansas. And we hearing candidates that's running for office saying, "Oh, I'm responsible for the revival of Detroit. We ain't what we used to be." And you watch the news talking about Detroit is back and all this shit. And then meanwhile, people are living in terror in some of these neighborhoods. Do you think that some of these folks that don't vote will welcome National Guard troops?
Well, You know,
Can it happen? Let's say, can it happen?
can it happen? Sure, it can happen. Now, if you believe the headlines today that, mayoral candidate said that the current mayor said that, no, basically, we don't need the help. But I bet you down to the dollar, if he was to call and say, hey, I'm going to help you guys out, that they would take the help. Now, here's the rub, though.
He running. He running from the city, and he has not addressed none of this shit in the last 6-7 months. All he does is go to these ribbon cuttings, this feel good shit, tell you how many people move back in the city, et cetera, et cetera.
You have candidates that's riding that same wave. And as a mother, as a sister, as a brother, as a parent, as an auntie, it doesn't make you feel good to talk about what has happened in the city of Detroit over the last 12 years when you're trying to raise money, a GoFundMe fundraiser to prepare to bury your loved one. So here's the deal, though. If you listen to the mainstream media, they point out a few things. One, that when the president talked about DC, he talked about Baltimore, he talked about LA, he talked about, I forgot what other place, Chicago. And the media.
What they got in common?
Yeah, black mayors.
He didn't say nothing about Detroit, did he?
But he didn't say anything about Detroit because is it because Detroit? Did Detroit? Is Detroit blue? Is it red? Is it whatever?
It's up in the air, Michigan.
Exactly.
He got Whitmer kissing his ass. He got Whitmer going there kissing his ass, begging for shit.
Adolph, what's interesting is, we have somebody that's running for a city council that has a close relationship with Donald Trump. She was instrumental in getting the former mayor out of prison. And so I find all of this very interesting. If our viewers don't believe that all this stuff ties together and that this stuff is important, they're sadly mistaken. The fact of the matter is, you're right. The state of Michigan is up in the air. I bet you a dime to a dollar if that man was to say, hey, I want to come in there and help Detroit with this crime. There's not a mother who has not cried because
they will welcome Dracula into the house.
They will welcome him. What's interesting is and I'm not beating up on him, but it's clear that you can't handle the crime that's going on in the city of Detroit.
Well, he's turning a blind eye, and listen. I'm looking at the chief, Todd Edison, who we have on here periodically, working his ass off to connect to the community, to solve these crimes. A lot of it is crime of passion. A lot of it over women. A lot of it, somebody took somebody's hat.
Right.
And, some ridiculous bullshit.
Right.
But I'm saying is, you get a new mayor, and especially the ones that we got the media darling, where said, I've been the key person for the bringing Detroit back from the dead and shit. In the meanwhile, the schools went to shit. The people still moving out at an alarming rate, while we still build condos and shit. I'm trying to figure out who's gonna be living in all these condos in 5 years. So they're going to turn them into Section 8 housing. Now, bringing in, last time we had the National Guard in the city of Detroit.
They're doing
the folks ran the National Guard out of Detroit. They had to bring in federal troops because but we don't have that kind of population, because we had folks that came back from Vietnam and wasn't taking the shit. So they said, "Listen, I fought the Viet Cong, and I come back here, and some bigoted ass police want to beat my ass just because the way I looked at them or whatever."
Mhm.
So we don't have that, but we do have some angry young people. They're angry.
Angry young people, angry.
Did you hear anything after the Chris Brown concert where they had 25 fights?
Oh
They
yeah,
were fighting all over the place, but
right.
the media they like smooth it over like, oh, it's just nothing. That's the
Right.
typical evening downtown.
Right. And you're absolutely correct, because I don't know if you got the video, but I got a video of a fight that happened. It was, I mean, it was ridiculous. But the thing is, as a Detroiter, listen, you got to get a handle on this crime. The other day, and this is terrible. I was walking to my vehicle. It had to be about 10 o'clock, which is late for me. And this guy is follow me to my car. Now I can't get up and demonstrate, but you better believe I was hightailing it. And I'm thinking to myself, now if this fool grabs my door, what the freak am I going to do? Because I don't have nothing on me. But you got people that have mental illness. There are people that are unhoused. You have people that are very angry out here committing these crimes. Now, do I think that, as the mayor of Washington D.C. is, she's against it, but what
She got no control. She had no control.
like, listen, ask the neighbors how they feel about it. Ask them how they feel about it. And it's only gonna last for 30 days in DC. But I think it's
But he's gonna try. But he's gonna try to push it. He's gonna try to push the limit. I know what
how do
he's
you feel
doing.
about it? How do you feel about it?
Well, you know what? Listen, you don't supposed to knock out somebody that been elected. People chose their representatives and their leaders and stuff.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, you live in a DC is unique because you got too many police agencies already, and they protect most of the buildings there are government buildings. You got
Right.
the Fed police, you got the Capitol Police, you got the FBI, the CIA,
And
the
crime running amok.
drug enforcement, ATF, and then you got the police, who is the 3,000 cops in DC, and it's 800 short. But I blame Congress; they control the purse strings.
Mhm.
They cut $1 billion out of their budget because you can hire 800 cops. If he came and says, I'm going to send 800 National Guard troops to supplement the police, and then we're going to let you hire, here's some money.
Mhm.
Here's some money. Go recruiting.
Mhm.
Go ahead and hire those folks. But no, we know what he's doing. He's deferring. Let's take a break and come back on.
I want to talk about the feds just got turned over the DDC to
Okay.
Detroit.
Okay.
All
Go
right.
ahead. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with and continue the conversation.
Homeownership opportunities are rising in the city of Detroit, and there's a house out there that's right for you and your family. You don't even have to worry about credit or getting a loan. You can win a house for as little as $1,000 and pay for the renovation cost as you go. It all starts at buildingdetroit.org and the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Our auction and Own It Now programs offer a variety of houses and neighborhoods all over the city of Detroit. These homes are in desperate need of repair and new ownership. You can begin by going to our interactive map and detailed property listings to find the right fit for you. It won't be easy, and renovation costs are not cheap, but our compliance team is there every step of the way. We will help you track your progress and connect you with local discounts to save you more money. We have already sold more than 15,000 homes in the city of Detroit, and our inventory is shrinking fast, so you don't want to miss out on this wonderful opportunity. Start your home buying journey today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. Homeowners.
Okay, we're
Yeah,
back.
I'm going to address a few of our viewers, and then I'm going to go talk about, well, let me say this first, and then I'll address our viewers.
Okay.
You know that on August the 1st, that the DDC, which is the Detroit Detention Center, is no longer under federal oversight. And so I don't know if our viewers even understood or even knew that the feds is running the DDC. And now the Detroit Police Department has taken over. And of course, that transition has been fraught with a whole lot of issues. Now, the media and even the person that's in charge is not going to really talk about those things, but those are the things that's important. I'm not saying that you didn't have issues with the DDC, but when somebody is arrested and it takes them 8, 9, 10 hours to process them, that is ridiculous. So, and you didn't have that when you had the federal oversight. So the point that I'm trying to make is this. I agree with you that you have elected officials to carry the charge, but if they're not getting it done,
No.
and some people are saying, do you really believe he's doing that because he care about people?
No.
No, he doesn't. But at the end of the day, are people really concerned about that, or more concerned about, look, what the heck is going to happen here? We need some relief. And if we can get this relief, then so be it. Do you think that's what people are thinking?
Yeah. And what they're going to have to realize, and if you come into EC and places like Detroit and Philly, whatever, who make up those National Guard units? Rural white boys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that join, and you got two dynamics here, and before they sent the guard into DC, they said they had to do some quick training on how they go about patrolling. They're not going to be carrying their weapons, but they're going to be close by. Because it's a powder keg. You start shooting some people and shit, and then you got folks that say, "Oh, I don't care what they do. We're gonna shoot back," and then you got all out whatever. So you have to be real careful with all this shit.
Yeah, you have to be real careful, and we'll see what happens in the next 30 days. I'm going to give a shout out to a few people and read some of their comments, and then you can chime in. Let's see who we're gonna start with. Stephanie Jackson said, "Good to see the Godfather back," talking about you. Angela Beatty, good evening. Jill Sheridan, she says Washington D.C. is riddled with crime because he's in the White House. I don't know about that, Jill.
It was there. It was there when I lived there. It's there. In certain places where you can't go through. I remember the first time I lived in Maryland. First time I went to DC, and I was working at a newspaper, and I was with somebody, and went into this party store where the Arab guy was calling the guy nigger this and nigger that, and I'm like, they say, "Oh, he all right. He's just a racist." I said, "Why y'all give this guy this money? Well, this is the only thing that's in this hood." Now you go in that same hood, it's been gentrified.
Mm-hmm.
They moving people out, those little row houses that look like shit, now going for $1 million.
Well, let me ask you this. When you say that, this is just for conversation's sake, when you say it's gentrified, because especially when you talk about Black community, that's like a curse word. That's like swear.
They moved them. They all moved to Prince George's County. But that's where they moved to.
And Prince George's County. Have you been to Prince George County?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
But
and
their crime rate is high as hell.
so we get back to some of our viewers and then I'll get back. Karen Winston says January 6th, the Donald was as quiet as a church mouse.
Right.
Like my music says, does anyone really believe Trump and his Trump and this does anyone really believe Trump did this because he cares so much about an ex-staffer? Absolutely not. Um Dorian Denard says, yeah, the old Detroit is back. Reality steps back into view.
Now the old Detroit is 800.
I don't think the old Detroit was
The
there.
old Detroit in 1975, they had 800 murders.
Okay,
So
so
the
I
old
don't think,
Detroit,
yeah,
it ain't quite back.
right.
Somebody just said about people, because Charlie Langton said 77% of the people in Detroit want stress back. I lived through stress. You don't want stress back. The way they assassinated teenagers, they beat up senior citizens, they broke into people's houses. They was an occupying force. Oh, it started out as we're gonna tackle crime, but they had a goon squad. They had Nazis going into black neighborhoods and terrorizing law-abiding citizens. They were scared to deal with the real criminals. They set up innocent people. It's like I leave a bag of money on your porch, and you come out and you see it and you pick it up, and I come and get your ass or shoot you. They shot kids in the back.
Yeah.
They planted guns on traffic stop and killed drivers and say, "Oh, they came at me." No, you don't want stress back.
Though. No, you know what? I didn't. Thanks for. This is the wonderful thing about.
I hated coming to Detroit downtown where the fucking Big Four stop you, put you on the ground, put their foot on your back of your neck and shit, and you just a teenager. You just so happen to be in the car with several other teenagers. We go to the Fox to watch a movie, and then you get stopped by one set of 4 cops, big burly motherfuckers, and then you get in your car, drive around the corner. Here's another set of cops, get you out saying, "Is this a stolen car?" and all this other shit. And they go through your pockets, tear your shirt up, do all kind of shit, and then say, "Have a nice day."
So, do you think now? I didn't see it, but the wonderful thing about Detroit in Black and White and our viewers, they are so informed. I don't watch Fox 2 as a as a general proposition. I don't check out their news or anything like that. But that's interesting that Charlie Langton would say something like that. That's very interesting.
I mean, he's trying to get some ratings. Sound like the guy that used to call my radio show. I ain't gonna say his name. And he called it all the time.
Yeah.
And he said, "Are you gonna get mad at me?"
Yeah.
What I'm about to say, because he lived in terror in his neighborhood. Mm-hmm. He said, "I wish they put slavery on the ballot. I'll vote to bring it back." I had to hang up on him. This is what we got, folks. So will people accept the National Guard? Yeah, they accept it. We accepted bankruptcy. We let Kevin Orr come here and piss all on everybody. We let Robert Bob gut the school district. We don't hold Duggan accountable for how he spent $1 billion when he was working under England for that bond money, gave it to all his cronies. That's how him and his folks, he got a group of folks, I call them, they go crop to crop, locusts. They eat up all the crops, and then they move on. Prosecutor's office, DMC, Wayne County. Here's the mayor's office. Now they making their way like killer bees up 96 to see what they can eat in Lansing. Hey, yeah, there it is. That's what we're dealing with. So if he elected governor, he'd be the first to say, I left the city in great shape. Bring in the troops.
Right. So a couple of things. One, I was up north this past weekend, and there's billboards. I mean, he is really fundraising. He's really advertising that he's running for governor, governor for the state of Michigan. And the things that he is talking about is how he,
Turned around Detroit.
exactly. I mean, big billboards. So all up and down I-75.
Diddy turned around the school district.
So did he turn around a school district?
Oh, well, they gave him a raise of $400,000, even though he sent his kids to someplace else. So we reward, we don't reward excellence.
Right.
We reward who we like.
But listen, we don't hold people accountable. I mean, there's a few of us that are informed and we vote, but most people do not hold people accountable. Par says, Vanessa, he didn't say that. Rather, we were saying that if Charlie put a camera in some of the faces of the 77%, they would probably ask for stress to come back. Thank you so much, Par for clarifying that.
For telling us. Okay. Right. Yeah, but that means they're uninformed.
Right.
You know? That unfucking informed. So right. Yeah, it's like giving a fucking participation trophy. Mm-hmm. They didn't win shit, but they go up there and get a trophy. I ain't never heard of that. I remember my mother told me one time, I played Little League baseball. I hated to lose. Me and another guy on the team, we lose, we cry. My mother said, "You're a poor sport. You should be a good loser like the family that lived down. They had kids my age down the street." I said they losers. She never said anything else to me again. How the fuck you gonna be a good loser?
Right.
No, I'm not a good loser.
Oh, and I definitely
don't want a trophy. I don't want a trophy for losing. Right. I don't want to be patted on the back for losing. Don't pat me on the back. Right. When I failed at something and you say, "Oh, you did a good job, great job." Great job at what?
Right. No. So you don't like my music said most crimes is interfamilial. Stranger danger is very rare. Mr. Duggan said Duggan is fundraising all over the state and kids are being shot in their beds. Absentee mayor. Par says Detroit is paying Todd Bedison nearly $250,000 to call in the feds. He's been chief of police for 6 months and is already asking for federal assistance. Janet said, "Good evening, Janet. Overall, Kenneth Powell said downtown Section 8 is preposterous." Stephanie said, "A new mayor or new laws won't stop crime, only the consequences." Dorian Denard says, "It's 1974 all over again. Too many guns, paranoid mentality, schools are bad, inflation is setting in, and a wonky crime wave because people would rather shoot you than to be on TikTok catching a fade."
Listen, I remember some years ago that the mayor of Gary, Indiana, invited the National Guard into Gary. Okay, they are uninformed. Okay, Eric. And how did that work out? It didn't, but a whole lot of people welcome the Guard to come in. And when a mayor can't afford to call in the National Guard, because then the people that elected them say, "Why did we elect?"
Right, exactly.
Person, if they can't have a handle on it. It's like these teachers in some of these schools, they don't send them to the principal office. They call it 911. Mm-hmm. It's like if you can't deal with the situation, they say, "Why are you teaching?" But now you don't want to be harmed, but damn, you got to go get that drastic to get a handle on shit. Do you bring in the National Guard? National Guard don't work. What you gonna bring in a battalion of soldiers from Iraq, fresh from Afghanistan or somewhere overseas, on 101 Airborne that came in during the '67 uprising? You
So
know,
it'd be interesting to hear what some of our people that watch Detroit Black and White, how they feel. Do they think that the president should send um, troops here, or should
what should our elected officials do
what?
if,
And
if we get a target on our back here in Detroit?
right,
And
and the
where
other
should they
question,
put them at?
what
Downtown, or should they patrol the neighborhoods? That's the
exactly. And the other thing is, what can the incoming mayor? What are the candidates? We have two candidates now. What are they saying about it? Do you know? Does anybody know? Let's get this conversation going.
I know one candidate say they the champion of the fucking people, and they've been doing this shit, champion Detroit for the last dozen years. So we talked about it during the primary when I said crime should be at the top of the issues that they discussing. And I had people tell me, nobody care about crime. Nobody cares about kids getting killed. Nobody cares about these funerals and shit. Have you been to a funeral of a kid? First time I went to a funeral of somebody young, they were my age. When I was in a fucking junior high school, you know, you don't want to see shit like that, or a baby in a casket, ain't even lived, playing on a fucking playground, and you gotta bury somebody, putting fucking teddy bears and balloons and all that shit on where it happened don't mean shit. Tired of these people going out here, let's pray and all this shit, a vigil and shit. Got to have some. We got people out there that's working hard trying to stop a lot of this shit. We had Pastor Mo on there.
Yeah.
He's a guy that he's a hardworking guy. He's everywhere. I don't know how he do some of the shit that he does, but you got more people like him. He's not the only one out there, but man, people know who doing some of this shit, and they won't say shit. Now they're stabbing folks over getting an argument. So stab his best friend, stab somebody else, they stab him, or they shooting up folks and shit over trivia shit.
Right.
He looked at me.
Right. So we have a viewer, Deborah Harris. She says, tonight, I don't hear no full solutions, just woe is me.
No, we don't. I'm not going to tell you. I don't have a solution.
Right.
If I had a solution, I guess I would be running for something. If I had some solution.
Yeah, realistically, do you
got people that says they got the solution?
I was just getting ready to ask you, do you realistically believe that the candidates have a solution?
I don't know. We elect folks, but I guess I shouldn't be able to say, I'm vetting. Deborah, you're right. There's no solution from me because I don't have it. I'm not Houdini. I'm not making shit go away or disappear and shit. But I know if I saw something, if I saw something happen to a family, to anybody, I'm gonna let the police know. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say I didn't see nothing.
Right, snitches get stitches. But what's interesting is, let me say this: when we have this thing that's going on in DC, you have the mayor of DC. She has a problem with it.
Yeah, she should have a problem with it.
She has a problem with it, but at the same time, you don't have enough people working on your police force. You have a crime rate that is through the roof. What is her answer? I hear her saying
cooperate and be part of.
Same thing. Let me finish. I hear her saying the same thing. Basically, what the mayor of the city of Detroit has basically said. But that is not that for me and for other people that live here in the city of Detroit, that doesn't work. I don't have basically you don't have an answer. I
No,
don't want you to
you
do
don't
that,
have.
but you don't have an answer.
No, you don't have an answer. You know, but you got to have a mayor. In 1975, they almost had another riot. They did have a mini riot on Lebanon. White bar owner killed a 19-year-old running from a car because he thought he was stealing it. And Coleman Young was hands-on mayor. He went in the middle of the belly of the beast, and nobody died except two people died. One was a 54-year-old white guy who was coming from work in Holland Park and just driving down Livernois, and they pulled him out of the car and beat him to death. You know, it just it could have been worse, but you had hands on. The solution for that day was Coleman Young went and got all the black cops on the Detroit police force, which was a couple hundred at the time.
At that time, they lived in the city too.
Yeah, but the bottom line, he moved all the white cops out of Livernois, put all the black cops down there, and told them, he said, I thought I'd never say this. If the MFs come at you, you know what to do. But I'm just saying, you got to have some kind of game plan. Do our candidates, do they have a game plan? Affordable housing should be thrown as number 500 on the list of things that a new mayor can. And how we get a handle on some of this stuff? Schools, crime, schools, and jobs go hand in hand.
Well, we have a viewer, Stephanie Jackson asked, what happened to New Era? She says that they receive $700,000 annually to work with DPD crimes, still on the rise. Now,
one group can't stop all the crime.
Right.
I don't know what they got.
Yeah, I see them out in the community passing out toys and goodwill and, talking to people and that kind of thing. But, when you're dealing with so many things, for instance, one of our viewers talked about what President Trump said about the unhoused. We want to get them out of there, out of DC. When you're talking about all these ills, I don't think that you can solve it with just one thing. But I do think that you have to start somewhere. And I do believe that most people may not say it out loud, but like you said, quietly, people are saying, well, if he sent them in here, maybe something will work. Okay. So I had a friend a couple of weeks ago. She lives in a 2-family flat. She owns the whole building. She's upstairs where she resides, and she's lived in that neighborhood. She grew up in that neighborhood. So she's been there all her life. She lives next door to the house that she grew up in. She hears, how you open the door and you get like a wind. So she thought maybe the wind had blown her door open, when in fact it was somebody that came in her house. She goes to the stairs, and she see this guy, and her husband hears her screaming. He goes and try to get the guy at the house. He goes down the stairs. This guy is fighting him, telling him this is his MF house. Clearly the guy had something going on in his head. She's scared as I don't know what. He had on a ninja suit. She said he had on nothing. You could see nothing but his eyes. She called the police because her husband and the guy gets into it, and the police pick him up. But last week she went to court, on this matter. But the fact of the matter is, this lady has lived in this neighborhood all her life. Now you got people coming in your house. Thank God her husband was there. Thank God she heard, and felt the door open. But that's insane.
Well, you know what? One time I was at a CVS and on Jefferson, and I'm shopping. The guy spoke to me, spoke back, didn't think nothing of it. Did my little shopping, got out there. I got to my car. This motherfucker was in my face. You got any money? Caught me off guard. I happened to have a couple of dollars in my hand. I hadn't put it in my pocket. Gave it to him, got in my car. I'm like, I never went back to that place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, I, you know, the solution is there an expert? Someone said get an expert on the. I don't think there's any experts that got some kind of magic potion that's going to stop people from getting mad at each other. Is, you know, they're going to have to suffer the consequences, but you're going to make stuff safe for them. If we can throw a draft, NFL draft party and have minimum violence, but yet have a concert where you have people just going buck wild, you know, I think police presence or somebody presence to stop a lot of this, but you can't stop personal arguments. But what we got to do is be able to solve some of these crimes.
What's interesting is Par Orks said he's making a comment about Chief Bedison, and he says that, you know, basically he's getting paid a whole lot of money, $250,000 per year for top cop, and he's asking for help to run his department. He has been policing the community for nearly 30 years, and again needs help. I think it's interesting, viewers, that you have the top cop, and I talked about this the other night, how he said, and the feds are watching you too, talk about the gang activity, you know, the gangs are involved in, you know, perhaps it was the gangs that was involved in the shootings of the kid at the park and all of that. He's asking, you got the top cop asking for the feds to help, but you got the mayor who says, look, we don't want that, you know, the kind of help that the president is doing. Something's got to get,
because it don't bother him. He's protected. The mayor's protected. And when it's all over with, he's going back to Livonia or he's going to Lansing, where he's in a safe environment. So he could care less. You know, he came and did his thing in Detroit, and he banking on Black folks here in the city to just vote independent, which I think he's gonna get a big surprise that everybody ain't gonna vote independent. Not some of these seniors. Unless the clerk's office does some magic shit, and we haven't seen it before. That's how he got in.
So we have Marcia Gilmore. She said we need to have 5 young people come on our show and talk. And G Money is like Deborah Harris. He says we are not. He's disappointed. He said we're not talking about real solutions, about how you guys.
I don't have real solution. G Money, what's your solution?
Yes, right. The key issue is providing the opportunity to earn a decent job.
Where's the jobs, G Money? Where's the jobs? Who's gonna bring in the jobs? See, you know, I could disagree with talking heads and shit, and I understand. But I also disagree with people that says, what's the solution? What is the solution? You know, you asking other people to present a list of solutions. What's your solution? And jobs. What job?
Coming from? And you have these candidates talking about jobs. You have these candidates talk about
what jobs coming here.
Especially when you have people leaving the city of Detroit. You got Pepsi leaving the city of Detroit. I read somebody, I forgot what other, there's going to be a few other businesses leaving the city of Detroit. So what jobs are you talking?
They're going to do just like Core America did. Granholm and Kwame slept on Core America. They woke up one day and Core America was making an announcement in Dallas that they moved their headquarters, to Dallas. Core America was the manufactured bank. It is a bank that was created in Detroit by General Motors, and we let it leave without a peep. They didn't say anything, and they knew it was gone. They didn't want to say anything. And Duggan know Pepsi leaving. What they gonna do with they're gonna leave that plant empty?
Well, who knows?
Let's
But
take a quick break. We're gonna
okay,
come back and
okay.
continue the conversation, Detroit in black and white. And we encourage your comments. What do you think? Should National Guard troops come in? Is that a solution? I don't know. Tell me your solutions on how to deal with some of the pressing issues in this city.
Nearly 30,000 vacant lots all over the city of Detroit are for sale right now. That's right, nearly 30,000 vacant lots are available now, starting at just $100. The lot next to your house or the lot down the street. Make it yours today in just a few simple clicks. Find out if it is available by visiting buildingdetroit.org. At the Detroit Land Bank Authority, side lots are just $100 and neighborhood lots sell for $250. You can apply and pay online today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. And if you don't see the lot you're looking for, call our offices. Our phone number is 313-974-6869. Again, that is 313-974-6869.
Okay.
I want to read some of these comments real quick. Karen Winston, she talked about all the safeguards she has in her house. She has 3 dogs. She has a wrought iron fence, and she says she also basically has a shotgun if they get past that. Dorian Denard makes a very good point, in my opinion. He says if you had jobs to pay $30 an hour, you would still have crimes. Stephanie Jackson's talking about Duggan. She said he doesn't want the stats to change in our favor. His perceived success is federally funded. Kashmir Monroe said, a good question. Do these criminals want jobs? And Marcia Gilmore says it's not all about job. Ms. Sheila says get control of mental health issues with help. And G Money says the mayor has to align a strong partnership with the state, and the state has to bridge a strong relationship with the White House, and you will see favor, bottom line.
And you know what? Before you go on, you on to something, because Whitmer has been going to the White House, meeting with Trump, and Trump left Detroit out of his attack on city on that got high crime rates. I think it helped that Michigan is a swing state. It can go either way, presidential, Republican, or Democrat. Go ahead.
Yeah, Deborah says this show is depressing. Well, if you're a parent, if you're a sister, brother, auntie, it's depressing to hear that your folks have been shot, stabbed, killed. That's depressing.
I know it's depressing.
Harris, if you know some experts, you know what? Let us know. We'll invite them on the show. But I guarantee you this: there is no magic wand. There is no one answer to fix this. We're talking about homelessness. We're talking about mental illness. We talk about criminality. Some people are criminals and want to be criminals, satisfied with being criminals, raised by criminals, and will continue to be criminals. You talk about a job. No, why should I get a job where I could just take your stuff? Okay. You have people that are like that. So the reality is, if you want to put your head in the sand and say, you know what, it is depressing. But guess what? It is so many people's reality. It is our reality.
Well, you know what? You know what's depressing? And it's been over 30-something years since somebody broke into my older brother's house and killed him. Now, that's depressing. Why do you think these people, for these little kids, they burying them? That's depressing. People going to jail. I mean, I'm not talking about just one side. I'm talking about we seeing kids 16, 15, 16 charged as adults for murder, sitting up in the courtrooms, You see it all the time,
Listen,
Vanessa.
I had somebody
Life
very
in
recently.
prison and all this other
I
shit.
had somebody
That's
very
depressing.
recently who
That's
is
depressing.
nice guy, intelligent, graduated from high school, has good diction, and guess what? He's very satisfied with robbing people. He and I have very candid conversations. He found for some trouble. I would not name him or anything like that, but he told me, he said, this is what I do for a living. So the reality is criminality is real. So listen, we could get experts on here all day long. The reality is there's no cookie cutter answer to this problem.
I think the expert
It
is.
does make a difference when you have leadership that's willing to stand up, stand out, and say something other than, oh, we don't want DC to get involved. That's weak as I don't know what.
Well, you know, we got a guy in DC that says he's gonna get involved because he's the biggest known felon in the U.S. And he's doing all this to deflect all this shit from him, but he's doing it. We can bring parents on here that are lost kids, or parents that are lost their kids to the crime world. You know, how did it happen? Some of it happened because the parents dropped the ball, and there's no parents at home. You know, you got kids basically raising themselves, or they got a great grandmama.
Right off, you know, instances where you have parents at home where, listen, they just doing what the heck they want to do. Period. The end.
Edward A. said he was ex-Marine. As a Marine veteran, there's no ex-Marines. I was in the Marines. I hate to see them come on the street too, because I served with some assholes that you put a weapon in their hand. I don't know what they would do. You know, so you're right, Edward A. But he also said maybe that would make a difference. I think is where you put them at. Now, if you're gonna put them down in a high crime zip code, it might make a difference.
Yeah, maybe.
But if you're just gonna march them downtown, you know, they ain't gonna make a difference in the neighborhoods out there.
Right.
No question.
Right.
Education, Karen Winston said, I think education and good paying jobs are key to crime. Yeah, they are. But our education system is broken. And where's the good paying jobs that it used to be?
Everybody don't want a job. What about careers? Because you can have a job today and not have a job tomorrow. So we talk about jobs, but what about building careers? For me, it's, you know, okay, that's fine. You talk about a job, but what about a career? Something you can do for your entire life.
Do they have these Job Corps programs? When I was coming up, you need to bring them back. 14, 15-year-old summer jobs, you was making minimum wage.
They still have
it. You had money in your pocket, so you didn't have to go to the candy store and steal pop and chips or whatever.
Well, they still have those. They still have those kind of.
They used to be had a paper route, you know, that all that shit and died out. It used to be that was hustles, you know. It's like
the crime existed then.
Yes, but not the way it existed in '75. When they said the old Detroit, we had over 800 murders in Detroit in '75. That's a lot of fucking people dying.
You said murders, and you didn't talk about the robberies. You didn't talk about the rapes. You didn't talk about the other crimes.
They closed the schools there with They used to have Wilbur Wright. They had all these technical schools and shit, and they closed them all. So they don't have that. Everybody don't go to college. Everybody kids don't play football or basketball. They don't even have. They got empty swimming pools. They got half the sports programs. They don't have. They don't give these kids nothing to deal with. So they turn they turned IHOP into a hangout, Benny Hanna's into a nightclub. Stuff. I'm saying, how can you turn Benny Hanna's into a nightclub and then they shoot it up because you looking at my woman? That kind of bullshit. You can't stay open. Some of these places can't stay open past 10 o'clock because what's open, here come 20, 30 young folks, and before you know it, become popular, and then you got issues. Sooner or later, weed is legal, and people high, and it's late at night, and hey.
So when you talk about education, this is what I truly believe. The uneducated, that means, guess what? You keep them dumb, that means we can control them. So it's not, it's not by a miracle. It's by design that the education system has gone to the tank. Okay. And so when you have people like Eric Brown, who says you got to get them educated first, my question to him and others is, and we're educated, how and where does it happen? When does it happen? Because it's 911 as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
how does it happen?
Like I said, Social Security pick the candidates. Social media don't. They can talk a lot of shit on social media, but they don't bother to go vote.
Yeah. Stephanie made a good point. She says education is no longer the baseline for success. And Marcia says it starts with young people. Par Orgs says, Adolph, Vanessa, we all may not agree sometimes, but Detroit in Black and White serves as a major news source for the people, especially Detroiters. Thank you so much, Par Org. And I want to say something to our viewers. We thank you guys because you guys educate us. Every time I come on Detroit in Black and White, I learn something new. And I hope you guys get something out of this conversation, because what we're trying to do is get people to think, spur conversation. Maybe we can motivate some kind of change. So again, thank you so much for watching Detroit in Black and White and participating with your comments.
Okay, you get your final thought.
So to be honest with you, I'm like this about whether or not we should have the feds come in or not. Something has to be done, and nobody has any answers. When you have a police chief who's looked in the camera and said, and the feds are watching you too, that to me says that, look, we need the help. I want the help. But then you have a conflicting view when you have a mayor who's saying we don't want that, and you have the candidates who realistically, as a candidate, you're going to say whatever you need to say to get votes. I'm not trying to be funny. You really don't even know what what you see in the newspaper, but you really don't know what the landscape is. And I'll be honest with you. I think that Mayor Duggan is a very skilled politician. These people are neophytes, period.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
They're neophytes.
That's why we miss John Conyers and Carolyn Kilpatrick when they had those seats, both of those seats. Conyers, and I had my issues with Conyers.
Right.
But he would have been totally out front on all this shit. Where is our Congress people out of the city? I came here with $20. That's all we hear from him. And Rashida, her mind is fixated on Gaza.
You pick it on there. What about city council? Let's talk about the members at large. I mean, all of them. I'm sorry. All of them need to be called on the carpet. And if you're running for office, you need to be called on the carpet.
They're not talking. We'll be back on Friday, hopefully with a full house. This is Adolph Monroe, Vanessa Moss. Thank you, Teresa. And thank you to all the viewers and all the comments. We'll see you on Friday. This is Detroit in Black and White.
Right. Thank you.